Welcome to this short tour of a Misano Red Audi S4 Avant, which is currently for sale. I'll start this video by saying that this car has had a horrendous amount of money spent on it over the past 2 years. Something in the region of £15,000 on servicing, upgrading, improving, restoring, almost everything with the car. I wouldn't want to suggest it's perfect, but I think it'd be very hard to find another that's been treated to this level of preventative maintenance, as we'll see. Starting off here with the multifunction steering wheel, the leather is in fantastic condition, as you can see, having just been treated to a full 2-day detail. The car is fitted with the 7-speed dual clutch gearbox, which can be used as a full automatic or controlled via the upgraded gear shift paddles, which are just a pleasure to use. Let's start the engine up here. It's a 3-litre supercharged V6, which I believe delivers 333 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque as standard. It should give a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds and should return over 30 miles to the gallon. These are really superb engines with lots of room for additional performance should you be that way inclined. Moving on to the interior, we have the colour screen, the Audi multimedia CD player with 2 slots for SD cards, full digital climate control, air conditioning, etc. Parking sensors are fitted to the front and rear, as you can see. Auto stop start can be disabled, and one of the most important features available fitted to this car, the Audi Drive Select button here, allows you to toggle through a variety of preset driving modes, enabling the optional extra sport differential, which is fitted to the rear of the car, quite a rare option. You've also got 3 level heated seats for the front passengers, and just behind that you can see the updated gear selector for the 7-speed dual clutch gearbox, along with all the other Bluetooth controls, satellite navigation controls, etc. As we move through the rest of the interior, you'll see that the car has the upgraded red and black full leather sport seats fitted, which are genuinely a perfect blend of comfort and support. They're really great. The remainder of the interior is in super condition and could genuinely be mistaken for a car half its age. As we walk through the remainder of the car, it's probably a good idea to run through the full and really extensive service history that the car has, followed by the top to bottom overhaul that the car's been through over the past year. Starting back in 2012, the car's pre-delivery inspection was completed by Warrington Audi, followed shortly afterwards in December 2012 by its first full service at the same dealership at 11,000 miles. Audi Warrington then also serviced the car at 22,000 miles, again at 30,000 miles, and again at 44,000 miles, which included the all-important dual clutch gearbox service. Warrington Audi again at 53,000 miles, before moving over to Harrogate Audi at 68,000 miles, again at 80,000 miles, and again at 91,000 miles, which included the dual clutch gearbox service for a second time. Audi Harrogate again at 101,000 miles, again at 110,000 miles, and a final Audi VW specialist service at 118,000 miles. We took ownership of the car shortly after that and spent almost a year on completing the following list of preventative maintenance to get the car to a almost perfect condition. There's a total of 7 oils in the car, so each of those were drained, flushed and refilled with genuine fluids. This includes obviously the engine oil and filter, the supercharger oil, the dual clutch oil, so that's been done for a 3rd time, and both filters within that. The oil in the actual gearbox itself, which is a separate unit, and the 2 rear differential oils. The majority of the subframe bushes at the back of the car were either replaced or upgraded to bushes from an American company that specialises in B8 or B8.5 S4s called 034 Motorsport. I imported a number of parts from them, including their gearbox mounts, their much larger front-mounted intercooler, etc., etc. While the old bushes were out, the rear subframe in the car was painted with a anti-corrosion treatment and a coat of hammerite paint. At the same time, I also imported a huge list of parts from both Audi in Germany and America, including air filters, cabin filters, all the belts for the engine, all the pulleys and tensioners for the engine, full set of spark plugs and ignition coils. Almost all of the coolant pipes around the engine bay have been replaced, along with their fixings and screws. Both of the internal cores within the supercharger itself have been replaced, along with all the associated seals and fresh supercharger oil, as we said. The car's only ever been run on premium fuel, so specifically Shell V-Power. So now onto some of the harder to reach components. At the very bottom of the engine, we've got the air conditioning compressor and the alternator. These have been replaced with upgraded OEM parts using genuine bolts and seals, etc. At the very back of the engine is the starter motor. Again, this has been replaced and upgraded to the latest specification. While this work was being completed, the actual engine mounts and bolts themselves were replaced with genuine parts to keep this keep everything sort of firmly in position. As you can see, the wheels on the car have been upgraded to the 19-inch 5-spoke genuine Audi rotor design wheels, with Pirelli P0 tyres on all 4 corners. The bodywork itself is pretty fantastic condition. I'd probably give it 9 out of 10. There's definitely a couple of stone chips. You know, it's a 10-year-old car, but it's in pretty good condition for its age. I think we'd struggle to find anything comparable. Obviously, it's a 2012 car, but it's actually a 2013 specification when they switched from the B8 chassis number to the B8.5, which is effectively the sort of the facelift, where the car got updated rear lights, updated front lights, a different shaped grille, new interior, new steering wheel, bunch of other kind of improvements. Moving round to the front of the car, hopefully you can see that it's had a brand new grille and Audi S4 badge fitted. Behind this sits a full height stone guard to protect against all the expensive new parts from stone chips, etc. As we move into the engine bay itself, it's not actually been detailed in there, but we can just about make out the enormous list of new parts that I'll run through. There's been a new oil filter housing, fresh rocker cover gaskets for both sides of the engine, a brand new PCV unit which sits just underneath the supercharger within the V of the engine, a new thermostat that sits at the front of the engine, and all new associated EGR pipework, upgraded water pump which sits at the front of the engine, one with the metal impeller as opposed to the plastic, together with all new belts and tensioners to run everything. While the supercharger was off being serviced, we actually manually cleaned every one of the intake valves using a process called walnut blasting to restore them back to their full original performance. So it would run much smoother, much better emissions, much better performance all round. The front of the car has an all new radiator with genuine mounts, brand new air conditioning condenser, and the upgraded 034 Motorsport intercooler, as I mentioned earlier. This intercooler gives about twice the amount of cooling compared to the standard unit, and I believe it costs just over £1,000 on its own. Can actually only be imported from America, so pretty extensive lead times and import duty and everything needs to be paid. At the same time, the secondary water pump which supplies the intercooler with coolant was replaced for a brand new genuine Audi component to feed the intercooler and the charged coolers within the supercharger with fresh coolant the whole time it's running. Overall, as I say, the car's in, I think, pretty exceptional condition, especially for its age. Everything has been done with a view to making it, shooting for it being as perfect as possible, and with a view to future-proof the car, really with the intention of keeping it forever. So, yeah, as I say, I give the bodywork a sort of a 9 out of 10. We can see a couple of stone chips there, but mechanically, it's I think we struggle to improve it. Following this full overhaul over the last year, the car's had another engine oil and filter change, only 2,000 miles later in fact. It's now done about 200 miles since that last service. It's passed its MOT with 0 advisories and hopefully should be ready for its next 100,000 miles.